So, and I know some other TIs who did work for Lockheed Martin, and now they're being heavily targeted. You know, sometimes the people who are in these entities, these agencies that are very involved with the gang stalking, with the directed energy weapon systems research and development, they get heavily attacked. People in those groups, if they leave or if something happens, you know, or maybe even some people who do this stuff to people, they end up getting attacked. You know, Brian Coughlin worked for security, oh God, I can't, the business in Seattle, Washington, security industry specialist. You know, he actually was involved in doing some of this. And please go to gangstalkerwars.com to see his story. And he is being heavily targeted right now. You know, they're trying to silence him because he was actually involved. It's a terrifying fear-based system with these people who are doing this stuff. There's a lot of fear that if they come out and speak about it, that they or their families will be threatened severely. They will become targeted individuals, their whole families. It's nasty satanic stuff. Alright guys, don't really have a whole lot planned in my head. Here's another one-light SUV. I'm probably not getting any of that very good. I'll just give it a try. I do want to say, you know, you know, I'm not talking to TIs who are just speaking out and doing activism and handing out flyers and wearing T-shirts and getting on the calls, trying to think up ideas, getting letters written. And here's another light change coming up. I don't know if I'm getting it. We'll count this light too. We'll sit here and count this light. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16. It had an arrow on it, so it's probably going to be a little bit longer. But probably, well, alright, well, I don't know. Sometimes I guess they go long. But it's really weird. Every light is being changed as I'm driving. And I'm gonna take the tactic of, you know, instead of letting it stress me out, I'm just gonna turn my camera to it, and show y'all. And that's just gonna be my tactic. I'm not gonna think about it at all, because it is bizarre. Like, especially what happened at the beginning of the videos, extremely bizarre, and they did that on purpose so that, you know, the beginning of the video can seem kind of crazy. It's a bizarre thing they do. And that's if you watch Brian 2's videos, he talks about the Occams Razor principle. So the more bizarre things that these people do who are murdering us, who are murdering Americans and murdering citizens around the world, the more bizarre things that they do to the target individual, the less likely the target individual is going to be believed. So that is actually a protocol to get as bizarre and satanic and weird as possible, because it discredits the person that they're actually using these directed energy weapon systems on. That deceit. Deceit is the way that they are doing this. It's the way they are carrying everything out. Lies and deceit. Brian too calls it a deadly game of deception, a deadly game of deception. So something else. There's something else too, but basically that a deadly game of deception and deceit. And that's what this is. Trying to think if I have anything else. Nothing too much, guys. I'm just surviving. I'm not thriving. I want this program to end. So, you know, today I uploaded another video I made like 2 nights ago. And I said, okay, I gotta do something because my nervous system feels burnt out. Yesterday was like, I mean, it's literally some of the worst torture I've ever experienced with this. You know, Robert Duncan says, keep talking about this. He says, keep talking about this. Keep talking about this. God puts it into my heart. Jesus Christ puts it in my heart. Keep talking about this. Keep talking about this. And I feel like, these are videos talking to other target individuals. I'm trying to talk to non-TIs too, but it's some bizarre stuff. I go into detail, so that might kind of throw off non-TIs. It is just bizarre stuff. But God puts it in my heart to do these things, even if they don't feel, because it's really, what else am I going to do? I've thought about maybe calling the FBI again and mentioning the Cuban embassy attack and saying, why aren't they, why aren't they investigating my claims of the same kind of stuff? The same kind of symptoms, the same things as the Cuban, the State Department workers at the Cuban embassy were experiencing. But I don't think I'd get very far on that. I think I'm going to do it anyway. But it seems to me, from being involved in this, being gang stalked and hit with directed energy weapon systems for so long, it seems to me that it is going to have to be, since it's an industry propped up by agencies with a lot of money. They can make people think that it's just part of society. And people are at a point of apathy and shittiness, where a lot of them will accept, draconian, shitty things like this because they've forgotten the face of their fathers, they've forgotten the forefathers, they've forgotten the face of their fathers. That's something from the Dark Tower, where the gunslinger says, you have forgotten the face of your father. That's what I tell these people a lot. But it's so the grassroots is where it's going to come from. The interviews with Karen Stewart and Ella Free and Richie Allen, those interviews on social media with Dr. Eric Karlstrom, and many other experts, YouTube videos hitting it really hard on that. Keep talking about it, to try and make this a common household topic. And then it's kind of like a horse. It's a cart before the horse theory, where really this should be out in the mainstream news. There are criminals experimenting and murdering women, children, men with directed energy weapon systems. This should be out in the mainstream news. The mainstream news reports of that horrible activity should then spur individuals in society to take action in local legislation, the Senate, the House of Representatives, the President. It should work that way, because this is a huge industry propped up by not only technology, money, and the national security. It is a huge monster which has just deceived people, screwed up their perception, and basically grown a cult. So we can't really depend on the regular horse before the cart, equation. We've got to do the cart before the horse. We've got to get everybody knowing about this. The people who are experiencing it, giving testimonies. These testimonies that we put out, and that was kind of my point, is that sometimes, I make a video like this, and I'm mentioning certain things. I may get, a couple of hundred videos, which is not, for me, that's not that great. I love my subscribers, all the TIs, all the non-TIs that watch me. Getting that much information out is a great thing, but it's we need more. We need more people to see this. And there are target individuals with thousands of views. I've got a couple of thousands of views on some of my videos. But what my point is, and I keep on trying to come to my point, is that you do these things. Do what's in your heart. Target individuals, I'm speaking to you. Well, non-TIs too, if you want to help with this. Do what is in your heart, even if it seems like it's not big enough to topple the program down. Because obviously right now, nothing we do is just a huge bomb. It's just a huge thing to knock this program down in one fell swoop. No activity, really seems like that. But what we've got to do these activities testimonies, journaling, court cases, getting on the conference calls and giving information, connecting, mainstream media events with what's going on with us. And we have got to pray and trust in God to take these things like David's stones and fell the giant. So that's my whole thing with making these videos. First of all, Robert Duncan, he knows a lot about this technology. He knows a lot about the corrupt system. And his one word of advice on what to do for targeted individuals is keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. Keep talking about it. So that's one of the avenues where I'm like, okay, I'm going to just keep talking about it. I'm going to keep talking about it. And also, Jesus Christ, Yeshua, God puts it in my heart, to talk about this, to do this. I can't do anything else. And I can't go to my neurologist today. I can maybe call the FBI today, but, I need to start doing some of that stuff and getting things documented and really building up a pile of documentation. But at times, the only thing you're going to be able to do is do a testimony, or even if you don't want to put a video out on YouTube, and you want to keep your anonymity, make videos for yourself, journal it, video journal your experiences yourself, or write them down. Or, if you don't want to show your face on YouTube, you can just show a background or something like that, and speak, and then nobody will really know who you are if you use like a kind of an AKA, like I use Vulcan Wolverine, because I don't want people to know my last name. A lot of, I guess that's one thing I do want to say. I do want to say towards the end of this video, cover your cameras, cover the cameras on your phones and your computers, and also try and use anonymity and play it close to the vest. Give out your email and not your number and your full name, like on conference calls and stuff like that. And it's not because your attackers, don't have your information. That's not the reason why, because our individual attackers and the people on the remote stations attacking us, they do have all of our information, our first and last name, where we live, our family members and everything like that. But when you're in a big group of targeted individuals, and I'll come to the point why you need to cover your cameras on your computers and your phones. But when you're in a big group of targeted individuals, don't give out your first and last name or your phone number, because you've got a bunch of target individuals who are being remote neural monitored, and their attackers are seeing what they're seeing, and they might try and find your name and then hook up with their attackers, and it might make it worse for you. That's the reason that I don't give out my name. I know my attackers know my information, but I don't want to get them hooked up with anybody else's attackers who might be in the same area or something like that. So be careful with that stuff. I know people are like, they already have our information, they simplify it, but it's a little bit more complicated than that. You've got a lot of target individuals with attackers hooked to them and surveilling them and surveilling these phone calls. So be careful with your information. And I know that may seem paranoid to people, and they're like, people know who I am, and I have nothing to hide. It's not about that. It's about keeping this as small as possible, with your attackers not receiving any help, from other attackers. Now, the camera on your phone and stuff like that, we're not doing anything wrong, so we shouldn't be, ashamed of what we're doing and cover up our cameras or anything because of that. But I feel like with the camera on your phone or your computer, they can triangulate your position using a visual of you matched with whatever kind of remote surveillance they have. So you really want to cover up these cameras until you want to make a video. That's very, very important. My attacks have become way worse if I leave the tape off my camera phone or my computer camera. So please, that's so important. Alright guys, I'm getting up to 45 minutes. I did just want to kind of make a short update video. They changed that light right when I came up to it. I'm not even going to. I love you guys.